Bonjour. Hello, it's Janice in France. Thank you so much for joining me today. It means the world. And I hope you got a chance to listen to my podcast yesterday. It was about my first love. I had a friend of mine text me early this morning and she said, Janice, I know more boyfriends than you had than just that one. I said, I know, but remember, the title wasn't All My Loves, because that would have been a long podcast. It was my first love. So I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know about your first love in the comments also. It has been a crazy week. It just seems so strange to be here, sitting here in the house doing a video, because the last 3 days I've been outside doing videos. But I tell you what, my little knees and my feet are like, give them a rest today. So that's why I'm in the house. Also, update on Buster. Buster seems to be doing pretty well. We sent his x-ray off to a specialist, haven't heard back anything, but he's on all his meds, not eating all that great. But you know what that little stinker did? I bought a cucumber the other day, and if I put a little piece of cheese or a little piece of cucumber in his food, he eats all the food. So I think the dog is quite spoiled. Thank goodness the cat isn't. But anyway, he's doing great, and thank you for all of you that have asked about him. He doesn't get, he's right there. He doesn't get more than 3 feet away from me, but he's doing good. And that's one reason why I go out and film early in the morning, so that I'm back by 1:30 or 2 when it gets a little warm, because I want to make sure that the fans are on and everybody is comfy cozy in the Deer Wester house. So let's see, what else has been going on? Oh, I heard from Social Security. Keep your fingers crossed. They're wanting some paperwork from me, which I'm going to work on as soon as I get through with this video today. So I'm hoping we're going in the right direction. I'm hoping they're not going to get my hopes up. But anyway, after 6 months, they have now asked for paperwork. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. You know, I'm not sure if I'll get my full benefits back or not, but you know, anything will be better than nothing, I guess. So anyway, keep your fingers crossed for me for that. I have my new editor, Mary Grace, and I love that name. And she's doing a fabulous job. So if you've not welcomed her, please welcome her. And you want to get started? Let's do it. The title will tell you exactly what I'm going to be talking about. Now, let me preference this before I just get bombarded with comments saying, no, that's not what my friend said. No, that's not what I read. I'm telling you my experience. Only. This is what I know. This is what I know. This is what I know. And I will be honest with you. Atlanta office does things different than San Francisco office. San Francisco office may do something different than the Washington, D.C. office. So when I tell you this is my experience. Okay, we got that? Let's go. Last year, when I applied for this visa, I went through all of the paperwork and everything that they wanted, and we're going to go through that in just a minute. I did exactly what they wanted, I thought. And then I get back in the mail a temporary residency for 1 year. Temporary visitor residency for 1 year, not a permanent one. So that meant I could not apply for insurance or anything like that. That means I have to go back to the States. You cannot apply for a visa in this country of France. You have to go back to the United States, and that's why I'm going back in October. Now, I was very, very disappointed. I even sent my passport back and said, no, you've made a mistake. I don't want that. And the gentleman emailed me back and said that it was up to the individual's discretion of what they gave me. Maybe I didn't check the right checkbox. Maybe I did. Maybe that person just said, nope, we're going to just give her a year temporary and she has to come back and renew her visa. So I don't know. But anyway, I know I have to go back and do it. Now, I've had different people lately ask me What is the process? The process is this. First of all, I want to debunk any myths that you go to the French consulate. You don't go to the French consulate any more than you go to the UK consulate or anyone else. It is a contracted company that all the various countries use. So you take your paperwork there and they go through it and then they send it, like in the United States, to Washington, D.C., where the French consulate is there, and they go over the paperwork and make the final decision. You cannot do your application, because when you make your application and submit it, they're going to ask you when you want your appointment to come in. You don't want to do that prior to 3 months before leaving the country. You can't do it 6 months down the line or 5 months down the line. It cannot be any more than 3 months. Now, the reasoning for that is this. They want 3 months of bank statements. They want to see that Social Security benefit. They want to see that pension benefit. They want to see whatever it is that you get each month that is stable, that they know that you will not be a burden on their country. And that's why you cannot apply any sooner than 3 months. Now, if you have rental property, put that in there. If you have a trust fund or if you have a savings account, put that in there. Let them know all that money you have. But they are only concerned that you have enough money to support yourself while you're here. Now, how much is that? No one knows. I've gone to the internet. Some people say, well, you only need $750 to $1,000 to live here comfortably. But if you want to live a little bit better, you might want to make $1,200 to $1,500. And then I went to the internet the other day and they said, oh, you have to make at least $120 a day. And so there is no set fund. Now, I had 2 pensions and Social Security when I applied last time. I am terribly afraid this time that if Social Security doesn't act quickly, that I will only have my 2 pensions to show, and that may not be enough for them to let me back in the country. So that is my fear. If you're wanting me to come up with a number that I think the French consulate is looking for, I have not a clue, because they don't give it out either. I do know the cost of living over here as far as employment is a lot less than in the States. So I would say if you make at least $4,000 a month in Social Security, pension, anything that you get every month, and it's going to continue to be the same every month, that you will be just fine. There is no magic number that you can just pick up out of the sky and say, oh, you must make this X number of dollars. It isn't written. If it is, I haven't seen it. The second thing you have to do, and I have to redo it, is I have to have a year's worth of insurance. Now, I found my insurance out of Ireland, and I paid $423 for a year's insurance. They want to know that you are covered with 30,000 euros in case you have to have surgery or something like that. Also, in case you die, they want to make sure that they can repatriate your body back to the States at your cost and not theirs. The range of the insurance when you're younger is cheaper. When you get older like me, it goes up. When I was 69, it was cheaper than when I turned 70, of course, and then I was 70 when I moved here. So I did get a insurance at $423. Now, I had a friend of mine that was going through this same process at the same time, and she opted for the $2,500 insurance. She came to France and had quite a few issues with her health. In the hospital a couple of times, and they canceled on her. So if I were you, I would just get the cheap one. If they're going to cancel on me, at least I'm not out a bunch of money. But some of you that are coming over as a couple, that means each of you have to have an insurance policy. Because even if you get the chance to come over and be a resident, and you're on a resident visa, and you get to apply in 3 months to get on the healthcare system in France, which normally it does take more than 3 months, then you can ask your insurance policy, maybe they will give you a little bit of a probate back. But if I've only spent $420 and I've spent 6 months in the country, I'm just going to call it even. And not only that, I still have the insurance just in case something happens. So even if I'm on the French insurance, if I'm lucky to get that, I can still have both policies. Now, talking about French insurance, I'm not going to go into that much because I don't know that much about it because I didn't get it because I'm only over here on a year temporary. But what I've heard is you still have to pay like we do in the States. You know how we pay Medicare, we pay our Plan B, you know, our little extra to add to it to cover up a little bit. You have to do that here in France too, but it's very minimum. So that's what I've heard. That is not what I know, but that's what I've heard. But it won't be anything like you pay in the States. In the meantime, if you need to go to the doctor for, you know, like I go get my medicine refilled, it's like $30, 30 euros, sorry. And my medicine is about $25 a month. And I take 4 different medications and very cheap. But that's how I have to do it since I'm not on their insurance. So right now, that's how it stands with me and insurance. I did have a question from a lady yesterday wanting to know if you can get acupuncture and holistic medicine. And absolutely you can. Now, you're going to have to look for it. They're not going to be, you know, just readily out there. I was very lucky that I even got a doctor because most of the doctors here in Fontainebleau were not taking new patients. So I was very fortunate. Doctors here don't make what they make in the States, so they don't have to take on a ton of patients. They can take on exactly how many they want. So I was very lucky to get a doctor, especially just for my refill of my medicine, and I've not been sick, thankfully. So I've just been out of pocket a couple of times to go and let her review my medicine. And then I go to the pharmacy and get my prescriptions filled. So anyway, that's insurance. So when I go home, I have to once again get my passport pictures because they need to be different. And France requires a smaller size, of course. So you either have to cut them down. My lady that I was with in Atlanta was so sweet. She just cut them for me and it, you know, it went very smoothly. I was shaking like a leaf. It says to make 2 copies of all your paperwork. And I made 3 copies just to be on the safe side. Now let me tell you about your paperwork. You have to have a letter of attestation that you will not work in France. Now, if you're going to come here and you're going to have a job here and you're going to work at home and you're going to work with, you know, a company in the States, that's an altogether different visa. The visa I'm talking about is the visa for people to retire on. You also must have a ticket showing that you are going to leave the States and what date. And all of this you have to have before you make your appointment or at least know you're going to be getting it by the time you get to your appointment. So when you get to your appointment, you have to show 3 months of your last bank statements. You have to show a copy of the ticket, and you also have to show where you're going to stay. I was fortunate enough to show a lease agreement of where I was going to be staying. I also have that to take back with me, another lease agreement. They have agreed to have me for 1 more year, thank goodness. And I've asked for them to give me a letter stating that I was a good tenant, I paid my rent on time. I'm just hoping anything will help this time. I'm just hoping this person will read it and go, oh, she's a good person. She pays her rent on time. She'll be okay. So you have to have all of that before you go to your appointment, and you have to make 2 copies of your application, 2 copies of all of this paperwork, and of course all of that is in the application itself. It tells you everything you need to know. Type of visa that you need to apply for. I'm going to read it because I'm going to make sure I get it straight. The type of visa you will need to apply for is called a VLS-TS, a long stay visa. Now, if you get a temporary one like me, you have to go back to the States. If you're over here vacationing and you say, you know what, I want to move here, I want to get a visa, you have to go back to the States. So whatever you do, you have to end up going back to the States. Now, let's go back to the lease. If you don't have a lease like I did, all you have to do is get an Airbnb, and you can pay 30 days, 60 days, whatever you want to do. It's not anything set in stone. And that's what is a little disturbing about this visa process, is nothing's really set in stone. They kind of hint around it, but nothing is like ABC, DEFG, do this. But if you have an Airbnb for 30 days, and I've known people to come over here and they've had it, as long as you have paid and you have an accommodation and you're not just wandering around, they will accept it. You don't have to have an apartment. In fact, I would suggest, unless you know exactly where you want to live and you've been here and you've talked to people, it isn't necessary, because you may not want to live in that town. You may end up saying, you know what, I think I want to venture more to the south or to the east or to the north. And you may find a place that you really want to live in other than where you have your Airbnb. Now here's another one that's a little iffy. I read the instructions and it said to bring a prepaid envelope. So I went to FedEx and I got a prepaid envelope that would fit all my paperwork and my passport, and to be sent back to me. I had a friend in San Francisco. They didn't accept that. They wanted their own form and she had to pay for it. So like I said, nothing are all the same. So it just depends on where you are. I took one. If they don't want to take it, I'll pay the money for them to use their form, whatever they want. You're at their mercy. If they don't want mine, that's fine. But it says in there to bring it, and that's what I did. So that's just one of those things that's still kind of iffy, and you don't get on the phone and call a 1-800 number and get any answers. Trust me, don't even try. Don't even try. It doesn't work. They also will take fingerprints. Now, honestly, I think they charged me extra for that, but I'm not sure. But they will take your fingerprints there just to make sure, everything is okay. They won't take my fingerprints from last time, even though I did them last time and I've been in the country of France. I will still have to retake my fingerprints. I have to go through the whole process again, just as if I've been residing in the States for the last year. So I'm not given anything special because I've been here in France. I have to go through it just like anyone else would go through it. And I know people are nervous when they go there. I know I was. And she went through all my paperwork and she said, oh, I can't find this. I said, what do you mean you can't find it? I know I have it. And I picked up my phone and she said, you can't use your phone while you're sitting here. And I said, well, it's on my phone. And she said, it's okay. She said, go downstairs, around the corner. There's an office, like an Office Depot or something like that I could get a copy. So I left, went downstairs, got a copy of this particular paper that I needed, brought it back, and she said, oh, Miss Janice, here you go. Here's your paper. Just hand it to me. Handed it to her, and she said, okay, you're good to go. Thank you. And I was so relieved because I thought, oh, please don't make me have to go through this all over again. I was panicking because it's serious stuff. I mean, like for most people, they either rented out their home or they've sold their home and they've made arrangements to put everything they own in storage. I mean, it's getting really down to the wire. So it will make you have a little panic, anxiety, if you want to call it, because something could go wrong at the last minute, just like that. But fortunately, I had it on my phone, and she just said, oh, don't worry about it. Just go downstairs and get it copied and bring it back to me. And I was very relieved. Like I said, that lady was very, very nice to me. It's also very scary when they take all that paperwork and your passport. You're like, oops, when am I going to get it back? Normally, The time is around 10 days, but it may take longer. So I made my stay in the States 30 days, just in case, because I'm going to be there during Veterans Day. So if there's any change in, the mail and the holiday and all of that, that I still will have that covered. Now I'm going to answer some questions people have asked me. What is the rent like? My rent is a little over $1,000 a month. Now my utilities are paid and my Wi-Fi is paid. And I pay that to be in town, so I'm within walking distance to the vet, to my doctor, to everything. I also have an elevator. I needed an elevator, I thought, just for me because of my knee. But now, since Buster is sick and he cannot walk 4 or 5 flights of stairs up and down every day when he needs to go out to the bathroom, so I'm glad I have an elevator. But I could live outside of Fontainebleau and maybe pay $750 a month or $850 a month. And that would be great. But then I don't have a car. So I'm not within walking distance. So then I would have to get an Uber or a taxi. So it would, maybe pay its way. I don't know. But right now, this suits me. I like living where I live, and I hope they will let me live here until I can't live here anymore. To be very honest with you, I love where I live, but it fits me. Now, I can move if I have to, and I can move to a cheaper place, and you can yourself move to a cheaper place. But I would say anything from $1,150 to $1,200 for a 2-bedroom. Now, this is outside of Paris. Paris is like $2,500 for a wonderful 1-bedroom. 1 bedroom. 1. Studio you can get for about $1,400 a month. Very pricey. Although I love Paris and I love to go visit Paris, I don't want to live in Paris. I like living exactly where I live, in Fontainebleau. So, people have said, what is the rent? The rent can be anything from $750 a month to $1,000 a month. I'm lucky to have a 2-bedroom, and I could live in a 1-bedroom. I have no problem with that, but I like living where I live right now. But if I had to move to a 1-bedroom, I certainly could. I don't have any problem with that. Now, a lot of times they want you to rent cheaper apartments unfurnished. But, we have an IKEA about 30 minutes away from here. And it depends on whether you have a car. Are you going to depend on bus service? I can move out in the country where my dear friends live, and my dog and my cat would love that. I don't have a car, so that means I have to get a bus, and I don't know about putting Buster on a bus, going back and forth to the vet. So right now, it's good for me where I live. But to answer the question, you can get apartments from $750 up to $1,150, $1,200, whatever you want to do outside of Paris. This is what I did. I took a 6-week trip and I went all over France. I went to other countries too, but I went all over France to see where I wanted to live. I really liked the area of Toulouse. I almost moved to that area because I liked that area. It's near the Pyrenees Mountains, and I kind of like that area. I like the Alsace region too. But like I've told you before, when I drove in on the bus and got off the bus here in Fontainebleau, and I saw that carousel and I saw the street and the town, I was in love. And I think you pretty much have to go with your heart. This is where you're going to be living. A lot of people like to live in the warmer climate. I don't want warmer climate. I had enough warmer climate right here this year. And I would think my weather here is about like my weather was in North Georgia. I don't think it's as hot here as it was in North Georgia. But now remember, we don't have air conditioning. So we have fans, but we don't have air conditioning. So if you're one of these people that like the heat, absolutely go south. But if you're one of these people that don't like the heat, you might want to check out other places. Make a couple of trips over in the wintertime and in the summertime and see which one you like the best. Because, it's your home. It's going to be where you live and you want to be comfy cozy. I did not know what 103 felt like without an air conditioner. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I cannot do this. I did it. I got used to it. All I did was sit in front of a fan, watch movies just about all day, or either I created podcasts or either I did something, but I stayed in front of a fan all day except to take out little Buster. So you can do whatever you want to do. I want to go back to the question the lady asked me about acupuncture and things like that. You will want to get on some of these forums, and there is a forum, Women in Paris, and different forums that you can find, and you will be able to get a plethora of information. You know, I couldn't tell you where to find acupuncture here because I don't do it. I don't do holistic medicine, although I don't have anything against it. I just have never practiced it. But you can find anything you want to on a forum. I belong to one called Americans Retired in France, and I love it. It really got me through a lot of hard times, but you have to make sure that you assimilate everything that you're given as far as information, because sometimes it can be destructive. Because some people say, well, I didn't have to do that. Well, I had to do that. Well, I didn't have to do that. And you just get kind of confused. So just kind of take it for what you can and just get rid of what you don't need. I'll talk to you about my animals. Now, if you're wanting to bring animals over here, at the time I left a year ago, you had to get your animal looked by a specific veterinarian. They want him to know, you know, what to look for, that they can go underneath the seat of the airplane, that they're in good health, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have a certain period of days that you have to have a rabies shot before you leave to go to France. And they know all of that. They've done that before. My particular veterinarian had just sent an animal maybe a month prior to France. So she was very up on what to do. And Buster had just started having some problems, so he was able to travel. And he's not able to travel now, but he was able to travel. So if I were to take him back, he would have to go through the same process and get another rabies shot and then come back. And I'm just not going to put him through it. Not only that, with his congestive heart failure, I'm not going to put him in a container underneath the seat. I don't want to do that to him. I won't be taking him back with me this time. I have someone here at the apartment that will be staying and watching both of my animals. But the cost was $125 for each animal. Now, I will tell you, when you make your plane reservation, you must tell them that you are bringing an animal, because they only allow so many animals per cabin. And if you're flying first class, ooh la la, don't even think about it. You can't take your animal first class. So if you're planning on that, you can't. Unless you can hire somebody back in the other section to take your animal for you. I'm just kidding. But anyway, first class will not take animals. But if I had to do it over again, I would do a straight through nonstop. I flew from Atlanta to New York because I thought it would be better for my pets to have them get a break. But no, I would say fly straight through. Get it over with. Your pets are going to be fine. I think it was more stress on them, getting them off the plane, getting our luggage, getting to the hotel, letting them get used to that, then the next morning, jerking them up, putting them back in their carriers, getting them on the plane again. I think that was worse for them, I think. They didn't quite tell me that, but anyway, I just think it would be easier to just go through a straight flight. If you have an animal over 17 pounds, it won't be able to fly in the cabin with you. It has to go cargo. That's why Buster was on a little bit of a diet. Even though they didn't weigh him, they didn't even look in his carrier. But you never know. It would be my luck. If he weighed 17.2, they would weigh him. So I made sure that he went on a diet the month before we left. Okay, let's see if I can add anything to it. I'm sure you may have some questions. But remember, I've only been here like 7 or 8 months. So I don't know everything. And what I've told you is only what I've experienced and what I am experiencing when I go back in October. And in October, hopefully I will have an appointment by the end of October. And by the middle of November, I'll be coming on a video with you saying, yes, I can come back to France and live there. And if they don't let me, I don't know what I'm going to do. But I'm thinking, even if they don't let me, maybe they will just let me come back temporary again. And if I have to come back temporary again, I'm just going to say thank you and come back temporary again and do it all over again next year. Will I want to do it? Heck no. It's a pain in the butt. But I will, if it means living here. I love it here. Once I get here as a resident, I've been told that I am not taxed on my Social Security benefits, which right now I'm not getting any, or my retirement benefits. And then what money you are getting taxed on. Let's say I have a rental property and I have to claim that and I'm paying taxes on that. France and the United States have an agreement. Whatever the less is goes to that country. So if I owe $308 to the United States and I owe $208 when France does it, I'm paying France $208. So that's just how that works. I hope I've answered some of your questions, and I know you can understand what I'm going through right now and the anxiety of, I may not be coming back. I mean, I have to come back to get my things and my dogs and all of that, but I may not be able to come back and live here as a resident. So I just don't know. So it's all up in the air. So I pray every night that I will, and I have good vibes, and I stay positive about it. So if you would like to say a prayer or two for me and have good vibes for me, I certainly won't ask you not to do that. So anyway, I'm going to stop here talking about all of this. And if you have any questions, please go to some of the forums that I have mentioned, or you can send me a note or ask me in the comments. Different forums that I know about that you can ask. Now, if you're planning on retiring in 3 years, don't worry about it now. They may change the rules and the laws altogether by then. Live your life, have fun where you are now. Maybe take a couple of trips over here, but don't worry about all the paperwork if it's 3 years off. I mean, goodness, live life now. And I want to tell you some new things that have come up. I have a podcast on Tuesday, as you know, and I have a short little reel that will be coming on about 3 minutes on Monday and Wednesday, and Thursday, my video, and then now I have a video again on Sunday. So you're going to see me as much or as little as you want to. So I am back in business. Vacation time is over, and I'm ready to get to work. Thanks again. I appreciate every time you watch me and all the comments. And always, I love you. Au revoir.